I feel like a lot of UFC fans jump to conclusions. They jump to calling a fight a robbery. And even if it was a very competitive fight that could have gone either way, which is what I'm going to be talking about in this video. Now, I get a lot of people will say not all close fights are robberies, something like that. And I get that, in my opinion, all robberies technically are close fights. You even look at a fight like Jon Jones, Dominic Reyes, that was a very close competitive fight, which you're not going to see that in this video because I do believe that that was a robbery. But getting straight into it, I got a ton of examples, a ton of fights I need to go over. The first one, I feel like this comes to a lot of people's mind, Sean O'Malley, Petr Yan. Now, when this fight first happened, everyone was calling this a robbery. Even myself, I thought Yan clearly won. Even some people were saying 30-27 Petr Yan when this fight first took place. Now, looking back, I thought rounds 2 and 3 were pretty clear. 2 being Petr Yan, 3 being Sean O'Malley. Even though Yan did really good in the third, it all comes down to the first round. And forever, I've been saying that Petr Yan won the first round. He won the fight. After rewatching it, I actually thought not only was this not a robbery, I think Sean O'Malley won. I thought that he did very well to open up the round. He was landing a lot of good shots, a lot of clean shots. Petr Yan, he was on the front foot, but his output wasn't great as it usually is in the first round. He did do good towards like the middle. He landed some good kicks. He got a few takedowns, wasn't really able to do anything with it. And then Sean O'Malley ended the round very well. And even if he wasn't landing everything that he threw towards the end, it at least was something. It was backing up Petr Yan. Petr Yan wasn't trying to counter him. He just was getting out of the way. And then Sean O'Malley was able to take his back briefly to end the round, which a lot of judges, you'll notice in this video, they favor the end, the last 2 minutes, much heavier than the first 2 minutes, which I don't necessarily agree with. I understand why. But this is a great example. And even still, I still think that Sean O'Malley won this fight 29-28. And I understand people who say Petr Yan won or whatever, but was this a robbery? Is it undeniable that Petr Yan won the first round? I don't think so. I just don't think so. I thought Sean O'Malley won this fight. I just rewatched this just before recording. Another fight, another very popular example. Conor McGregor versus Nate Diaz, the rematch. When this fight first ended, not everyone, but a lot of people were saying Nate Diaz was robbed. There's no possibility where Nate Diaz wins this fight. The best he gets is a draw, a 10-8 in the third, which I don't think he got. I think a lot of it has to do with McGregor's horrible gas tank, and his body language was awful in the first round. He was like walking backwards. He was looking away, just awful. And Diaz was landing good shots. McGregor was landing good shots in the third too. He was tagging Nate Diaz, but it comes down to the last 40 seconds where Nate Diaz, he goes all in trying to finish McGregor. And for a large majority of that, not a lot of the strikes were landing up until the last 10 seconds where he kind of hurt him. Even still, I understand someone giving it a 10-8. Like, I do think it's possible. I still lean a 10-9. Do you think it's undeniable, though, that Nate Diaz, that was a 10-8 undeniable? I don't think so. I don't think that it's undeniable. I don't even think that it's clear. I think that McGregor won this fight, in my opinion, and I do not think that this was a robbery. Moving on, Islam Makhachev versus Alexandre Volkanovski. People called this a robbery for 2 reasons. One, because at the time, they did not like Islam Makhachev. Again, I'm an Oliveira fan. I didn't either. I was rooting for Volk. And 2, similar to the Jones and Gus fight, people expected Islam/Jones to get the finish, get him out of there quick, make it look easy. They were massive favorites. And for the first time, outside of, Islam in 2019 or something when he got knocked out, they looked human. They looked beatable, especially how the fight ended. Islam on his back. It just was a bad look. But when you rewatch the fight, it all comes down to, some people will say, round 4, Volk did not win round 4. I get, he was landing damage. Islam was just hugging. I would understand if Volk wasn't losing early in the 4th. Like, people are acting like Volk was lighting him up on the feet in the 4th. He was not. He was losing the 4th even before he got taken down. I thought Islam Makhachev won the 4th round. It comes down to the 2nd and 3rd. I think Volk won the third. I think the second, though, I think Islam won. It was very 50-50 on the feet for like the first 3 minutes. Islam is able to tag him and kind of wobble him. Volk recovers well. I think he ate a knee too, if I'm not mistaken. He landed some good shots back. They clinch. I think Volk stuffs the takedown. Very close round still. But Islam, I think, won the second round. And is it undeniable where Volk won the second? No, it's not undeniable. I think most people have accepted that Islam won this fight, and it is very close. But still, this is another one. This was not a robbery. And I think Islam Makhachev 49-46 is not a bad scorecard, in my opinion. Round 3 was very close too. Moving on to the next fight, Jon Jones versus Alexandre Gustafsson. Now, this fight, again, was very similar to the previous fight, where for the first time, Jon Jones is made out to be like a human being, and Gustafsson shocks the fans. He's able to win, around maybe 2, and for some people, 3 rounds against Jon Jones. And I feel like that's a big reason why people called this a robbery, to be honest. Now, rewatching it, even though I hate Jon Jones, I used to always say, oh, Jones clearly won this. People are just shocked that Gustafsson did well. However, I do think that you could give it to Gustafsson. It comes down to rounds 2 and 3. He kind of gassed out at the end. I believe it was the second round where Jones started off good. Gustafsson ended really strong. And then I think it was the opposite in the third round where Gustafsson started off strong and then he started to fade. Jones kind of took over in the end. 2 really nearly even rounds. Is it undeniable that Gustafsson won the second and third? Absolutely not. Is it clear that he won the second or third? Not even close. So there's no way that this was a robbery. Not even arguable. However, I think Jon Jones, I would give him the fight. I probably would give him the third round. It's very tough. It's just that I feel like his kicks, his spinning attacks, his oblique kicks, they hurt a lot more than Gustafsson landing punches to his face because Jones just kind of eats him. You could see at the end of the third, Gustafsson kind of gets hurt by one of the kicks towards the end. And I just feel like Jones, he does do a lot of damage. He doesn't always get the finish. I don't like him, but he does do damage. A very dirty fighter, but still, I didn't think that this was a robbery, and I thought he even won the fight. Moving on, hurts me to say I love Oliveira. Arman Tsarukyan, Charles Oliveira. First off, I don't think that the submission was fully locked in. If it was where Arman could barely get up, kind of like the fight, 2 fights after this at 300, Zhang Weili, Yan Jianan, if it was like that, I could understand giving it to Oliveira. And even now, I could still understand giving it to Oliveira regardless, because it was more competitive on the feet than I remember. In the third round, Oliveira was actually doing good. He wasn't landing a ton. He was throwing, though, and he's landing like knees to the body until like the last 30 seconds when it was on the feet, where he looked kind of gassed out, stationary against the fence, and he gets taken down easily. And even before that, he still was barely losing on the feet. And then Arman makes his mistake. He goes for the submission. He gets a little too excited going for the bonus, and he almost gets submitted himself. I don't think that this was a robbery. I just don't think it. I think that Oliveira, I think you could give him the fight. But I think for Oliveira to win and for it to be a robbery is if Arman was like pretty much out and he had to barely get up like Ortega after like round 3 against Volk. If it was something like that and they still gave it to him, that I think would kind of be like a robbery. I think that's like in the territory. This, though, I don't think that it was a robbery. I love Oliveira, but this just was not his best performance. Again, I love him, but not great. Very upset. Strickland, Dricus du Plessis. I picked DDP in this fight, and I felt like I was the only person saying that Dricus, I thought, won the fight when I first watched it. I felt like I was the only one. Everyone I felt like was picking Strickland or whatever, or saying that it was a robbery for so many reasons. For one, his fan base, a lot of them aren't like MMA fans. They're more like they like him for his politics, and they don't really know much about MMA or how it works or how scoring works. I mean, it was so annoying to hear them cry about it for months. And then on top of that, you had like people saying, oh, well, Strickland landed more strikes. Look at the significant strikes. And it's like the total overall for the fight, as if it's not scored round by round. And then you had people saying like, oh, look at their face. How could you tell me that, Dricus won? Look at his face. As if like they do like a competition after the 25 minutes where the judges, they don't score it by round. They just look at the two at their face and see who won the fight. It's like, this isn't a street fight. It's so annoying to hear like stuff like that. I'm not one to call people casuals. That's like the most casual thing you could possibly think of. Now it all comes down to the second round. And I actually rewatching it think I think Strickland kind of won. His biggest problem again is he was clearly winning the first 3.5 minutes, but he wasn't really doing anything. He kind of was just being really good defensively, getting out of the way of Dricus's overhands and just touching him with the jab. No damage at all. And Dricus was able to kind of come alive in the last minute and a half, land good body shots, good body kicks, take him down. And I understand why. And I think for the swelling of the face, it's harder to judge swelling when it keeps on getting like kind of worse. There was like a fight recently, I forgot, it was with the guy who just won, beat Jai Herbert. I forgot, he fought, I think, a Chinese guy, if I'm not mistaken. I think there was like a massive swelling. Stuff like that, you could tell easily which round it happened in. For this, you can't really count it round by round because it's very tough and it's just going to keep on getting worse. It's not like Strickland's cut where you know when it happened, and that's a major part of that round. I forgot if it happened in round 2, but still, cuts are a little bit easier to judge compared to swelling, in my opinion. But yeah, was it undeniable that Strickland won the second round? Was it clear that he won the second? I don't think so. I think it was one of the closest title fights of all time, and I'm very happy Dricus won because I think he's the better champion, more entertaining, and we saw that in the rematch. Moving on, this was my best prediction of all time. I picked Pantoja by a decision, and everyone was going to say it was a robbery because of control time versus Steve Erceg. People were saying 49-46 Erceg. I definitely don't agree with that. I think Pantoja definitely won the third round. I think he nearly doubled his significant strikes and got control time. I get that there was an elbow, and it cut him. It was probably the biggest shot of the round. But it didn't wobble him. It didn't really hurt him that bad outside of the cut. And for that, I don't think it wins him the round off of one strike. Now, you can win a round. You could finish a round. You could finish a fight with one strike. But when it's a cut like that, not even like, one that stops the fight or whatever, I don't think it wins you the round. The fifth round, Erceg was up on the feet, but it was so close on the feet. And we saw Pantoja, I think Erceg actually tried to take him down, and Pantoja got on top, and then he got on top a second time, and he racked up a bunch of control time, and it was nearly even on the feet. Plus, with the ground and pound strikes, I think Pantoja actually was up a little bit. I thought he won the fight, and yeah, I know people don't like Pantoja. I thought he won the fight, and I definitely don't think it was clear that Erceg won the fifth, in my opinion. Moving on, again, Aljo versus Petr Yan, the rematch. Notice a pattern. The hated guy usually gets the victory, and then the fan favorite loses. People call it a robbery. Comes down to the first round. Aljo had higher output. I think he landed more strikes than Petr Yan. You could say Petr Yan landed the more damaging strikes, but they weren't super damaging. You know what I mean? They weren't anything crazy, and they never hurt Aljo. They weren't that much more damaging than Aljo's strikes. I get Aljo was on the back foot. It was nearly a 9-9 round, to be honest. No one did enough to really clearly win it. If Yan would have won, it wouldn't have been a robbery. And I thought Aljo won. The first time watching it live, I still think he won. And in no way could you say that Petr Yan clearly won the first. Absolutely not. People were just coping, in my opinion. I still think Aljo won. Not a robbery. Moving on, Chris Curtis, Brendan Allen, another one. People don't like Brendan Allen. He ends up getting the decision. I think I picked him by decision. Rounds 3 through 5 were super close. Chris Curtis was able to rock him when Allen was actually doing really good on the feet in the third. I think because of that, you give Curtis the third. Round 4, Curtis was doing a little bit better on the feet, but Allen towards the end takes the back, I believe, lands some good shots of his own. I think it's enough to win him the round. And then round 5, This is really what it comes down to. Allen was not doing himself any favors. He looked exhausted. He kept on diving headfirst into the mat because he's low IQ. But it still was close on the feet. It still was razor close. Curtis may have just been barely ahead. But what lost him the fight is he blew out his knee in the last 10 seconds. And when it's even on the feet, Allen landing the 3 or 4 damaging shots in the last 10 seconds while Curtis can't defend himself, it's gonna win Allen the fight. I get a lot of people don't like him. He won this fight. A lot of these guys, not only do I think these are not robberies, I'm actually thinking the other guys who a lot of people said robbed the other guy won the fight. And honestly, my opinions outside of the first fight that I talked about really haven't changed that much on these fights. But yeah, lastly, there's a few others like Moreno, Pantoja, which I thought Pantoja won. People called that a robbery because they love Moreno. I picked Pantoja. Figgy versus Moreno, the third fight. I may have picked Figgy. I honestly forgot. But I thought Figgy won the third fight watching it live. Everyone said it was a robbery because people love Moreno. But yeah, those are 2 more examples. Ian Garry, MVP. Comes down to the third. This was not a robbery. Again, people hate Ian Garry. People love MVP. MVP was not dominating or even winning on the feet in the third. It was razor close. Look at the stats. Super low output. Rewatch the fight. And when you add in the control time, I think Ian Garry did spend some time on bottom, but even then he was working, he was landing elbows, and then the last minute MVP for some reason does not shake him off, very low IQ, and Ian Garry takes the back with a minute left. He clearly won the third round. It was very competitive, very close. He clearly won it. And I think if MVP, if they would have gave him the decision, I would think that that's a robbery, in my opinion. That's kind of what I consider a robbery in general. But still, and yes, even if he would have won and it wasn't deserved, close fights aren't robberies. Still, every single robbery is a close fight. Look at John Jones, Dominic Reyes, which in a future video, fights that were robberies. I will be talking about that fight. I may also do like a kind of the Weasel video, breaking these down strike by strike. I did something similar with the O'Malley fight and Merab fight, maybe for some of these, but yeah, that is it for me. Let me know which ones you disagree with.